Hello and welcome to this short video tutorial on how to use the HM1 headphone monitor correction rack extension for propeller head reason, brought to you by DLD Technology. So in this short tutorial we're going to show you how to set up and configure the HM1 and tell you about the functions that it has and also what it is designed to be used for and what it's not designed to be used for. So, HM1 is designed to emulate how a pair of monitor speakers work in a room environment through a set of headphones. So this is for people that are not going to be in a room where their main monitors are, so maybe they're on the road, in a car, on a plane, somewhere else, and they need to try and mix according to their monitors that they have in their home studio. Or it might be where you need to put some headphones on because you can't turn the volume up. Maybe it's late at night, you've got children or neighbours to consider. So this is designed to kind of fix those situations. What we've also done is include a set of speaker models that have been put in there to quickly switch between different frequency responses of common speaker setups, just allowing you to test your mix on a variety of setups without having to leave Reason. It's also designed to be placed at the end of the mix chain between the master section and the audio outputs, and it can be switched on and off using the bypass mode. But first thing, 2 points. Point 1, this isn't an effects unit. Okay, it's not designed to be used as a musically creative effects unit. It's designed to be a mix tool. So if you want to use it as an effects unit, that's fine by us. We're quite happy for you to do that, and we'd love to hear some of the inventive ways that you're using this to make effects on your music. But it is not designed to be that, so we hope you understand that before you purchase it and then realise that it's not that. So we just want to make that clear. Second of all, this is not designed to accurately emulate any particular make, model, type or brand of speaker. This is about emulating how sounds come out of your speakers and are handled in a room environment. So it's about the convolution of the sound that comes out of the speaker and trying to replicate that in a pair of headphones, which obviously are quite closed in and not giving you that ambiance that you're going to get in a room environment. So this is about replicating the way that sound works in your room, not any particular type of speaker. So please do bear that in mind. So let's get into the Reason rack and show you how to wire this in and then to calibrate it. So the first thing we need to do is pop it in underneath the master section. So we do that, we just click on the master section, then right click, and we can choose a studio effects unit, and there it is, HM1. Now before we pop this in, we need to hold down the shift key on the keyboard, because that means that it will not automatically cable itself into the rack. We want this to be cable free to start off with. Before we go behind the rack, let's just quickly show you the layout here. So on the left hand side we have a couple of peak meters, and then in the center section we have the speaker angle setting. And then on the right hand side we have two boxes where we can choose our head model in the small box, and in the larger box our speaker type. And I'll show you how all of these work in just a moment. So let's flip the rack around, and this should be a fairly familiar sight for Reason users. And you can see here that the HM1 has been installed and is not wired into anything. First thing we need to do is just drop down the audio input output section. So we just click on that at the top there, and it expands the module. And we need to take our master outs and put those into our master ins on the HM1, and then just replace those from the audio outputs of the HM1 back to where we took those cables from. So we're just sticking the HM1 in the chain between the master section and the audio interface. So now we're good to go, and what I'm going to do first of all is just bypass the effect, because the next thing I want to do is pop in a drum loop. And we're going to do that using the Dr. Octarex loop player. So we're just going to choose that from the menu. That's going to fall into the rack, and it will give us hopefully this default drum loop, the acoustic drums drum loop that propeller heads put in there out of the box. And that sounds a little bit like this. So there you go. So that's just the raw Dr. Octarex going through the chain and coming out. So let's put in the HM1 and see if you can hear the difference. If you're listening to this through a set of headphones, you might be able to hear some difference. Now, if you aren't hearing that, or maybe maybe you are, what I'm hearing is a lack of focus in the sound. It sounds a little bit phasey. It sounds like there's a tiny bit of delay in there, and this is all completely intentional. But at the moment, we haven't calibrated the HM1, so we're not going to be having any kind of great effect here or positive effect. So the next thing we need to do is go to the mixer. And let's just go over there, and we're going to take this instance of the Dr. Octa-X and pan it hard left, all the way across to the left-hand side. Now, there's a specific reason for doing this, and that is that we need to establish a decent head model, and this is the best way to do it. So now if I run that loop, what I'm hearing is that sound coming out of predominantly the left-hand side. Now, technically, there's nothing coming out of the right channel. However, my brain is interpreting the sound in such a way that I can hear something in the sound field that's a little bit further to the centre than a hard pan left would allow me to normally have. And what I now need to do is flick through the head models until I find the head model that suits me. And how am I going to find that? Well, I'm just going to quickly zip to number 6, because I know from testing this out myself, number 6 works for me. And then we just turn that drum loop off so you can hear me talking. So now I've got this model number 6. What I'm hearing when I play back that drum loop is that the sound is no longer panned quite away to the left. I'm actually hearing stuff over on the right hand side. It's in my head, the sound field seems less left and more central. And that's because of the way that the head related transfer function models are working. When you listen with your ears, you're not exclusively hearing sounds in both ears. Your left ear is hearing some of the sound that you hear in the right ear. And so this is what we're trying to find, is a head model where you're getting some of that information that matches the way your head works. So I know that head model number 6 is ideal for me. And so the next thing I need to do is go back to my mixer and then just bring that pan back into the center like so, and go back here. And now when I run this, now I'm getting something that sounds a lot more realistic. And what I'm actually hearing, and you might hear this too, is that there's some ambience to the sound. There's definitely some kind of room sensation. It doesn't sound like it's being pumped directly in through my headphones. So I've got this head model selected, and that's the one for me. The next setting that I need to look at is the speaker angles. Now, most studios, certainly our small project studios, bedroom studios, will have our speakers fairly close together. Mine are about 1.5 meters apart, and they are towed in across a horizontal plane at the back. They're towed in to both point at the sweet spot, which is where I'm sitting. And so that gives me a good mix of the sound. But of course, everyone has rooms in different places and speakers in different angles, and so we're allowing for this by giving you the opportunity to have your speakers so they're at 90 degrees, so they're literally going at 90 degrees to the horizontal plane, firing left and right, or we can have them pointing right in at the 0 setting, which is effectively a mono kind of effect. But the kind of generally accepted standard is that if you can have your speakers towed in at a 30-degree angle from the horizontal plane, then that's actually quite the best angle that you can have. But of course, you need to calibrate this to your individual settings. So have a play around and get the speaker angles right. Once you've got that, then you're pretty much good to go. And let me show you the other option that we have here with your speaker types. Now I'm going to run this loop again. I'm just going to flick through the speaker types, and what we've done with the speaker types is we've essentially rolled off 12 decibels of bass roll off to give you this effect of the speakers, and this is just to give you an idea of what your mix would sound like if it was coming out of the certain type of speakers. So let me just kick this loop off again. And now as I flick through, if I get to a small speaker, there's obviously not a lot of bass in there. A bit more with a medium, a bit more with a large. And then we've got LCD TV, quite tinny. Laptop is even tinnier. And of course mobile phone will sound a bit like this. So this will give you an idea. And if this stuff is important to you, then this can be quite useful. And we can just roll through back to a no speaker type setting. So that's it. That's HM1. That's how you set it up and configure it for yourself. And we really do strongly recommend that that is what you do. You sit down and you go through those head models and find the one that suits you the best. And then once you've done that, we recommend that you save your master template or your song file with HM1 permanently in the rack, and then you just bypass it when you don't need it and turn it on when you do. So if you're mixing through your speakers, bypass it. If you're mixing through your headphones, turn it on. And then of course, once you've mixed your piece, your work, your song, then put the bypass back on before you render the file. Otherwise you'll render the file with the effect and it won't sound right. So once you've done that, you're pretty much good to go. We would like to also just point out that HM1 does require a good quality pair of stereo headphones to work effectively. So your £9.99 job from the local supermarket probably isn't your best choice. It's always good if you're going to use headphones to invest in a really good pair and try and get the best pair that you can afford. And we recommend that you use a good quality pair of well-known, well-branded stereo headphones. We make sure that you have good hearing, of course, that's imperative, and be aware that HM1 does introduce a small delay, around 10 milliseconds. It's not there when you bypass it. So that 10 milliseconds delay is what kind of gives us that room ambience that we're looking for. As I said before, it doesn't give you a perfect emulation of any certain type of speaker. It's designed to emulate the bass roll-off frequency responses of average speakers, not to replace an expensive monitor setup. So this isn't going to give you the sound of some NS10s or some Adam speakers or any other brand that you can get. This is designed to replicate an environment rather than a particular set of speakers. It's not designed to be used as an effect, okay? If you want to use it like that and you're getting some creative gain from doing that, brilliant. We're really happy for you to do that, but don't buy this as a creative effect. This is a mixing tool and should only be used as such. So there you go. That's the HM1 headphone monitor correction rack extension from DLD Technology, designed to be used with propeller head Reason. Please go to the store and you can have a free 30-day trial as per all rack extensions. And if you really like it, then you can click the buy button, and we hope that you get some really good use out of it and find it helps you with your mixing. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.